Okay.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. It is that time again. It is Sundays with Savannah at 6. It's your boy, Pastor Carter. I'm so excited to introduce again to you the lovely, the wonderful, the magnificent, the anointed Savannah. Take it over.
Hello, everyone. Okay, welcome back to another Sundays with Savannah. The topic for this Sunday is new school year, parental perspective. Obviously, there's a lots of different and difficult decisions being made by parents this year concerning if they're bringing their child to school or letting them stay at home. And we basically just want to discuss with a few parents in our community their different perspectives on this upcoming school year. So for the panelists, we first have the Heralds, my lovely parents. And can you tell us how many kids you have and their grade level? You need to unmute.
Sorry about that, technology. We have 2 kids. We have Palmer, who just recently graduated from Western High School. He'll be attending Rose Holman. And then we have Savannah, who's going to be a junior this year. So we're excited about that.
Okay, next up, we have the Kempers. And can you also tell us how many kids you have and their grade level?
Hi, we have one child in school, Adam, and he will be starting 9th grade this year.
Okay, next up, we have Athena Beatty and her beautiful mother. And can you tell us how many kids you have and their grade level?
I have 3 beautiful girls. I have a freshman in college, and I have a 9th grader, and I have a 7th grader. Yes.
Okay, and lastly, we have Sister Takesha Wilson. Can you tell us how many kids you have and their grade level?
Hi, can y'all see me? Okay, hi, I'm Takesha Wilson. I have one daughter, and she is in the 7th grade.
Okay, and there are all our panelists, and let's start on the first question. The first question is, what was your decision concerning your child's return to school? And this is for everyone.
We can start with the Heralds.
Okay.
Our decision for our kids were to send them back to school on site. It was a very hard decision because of the fact that I'm one of those parents with comorbidities. And so if one of my children should bring it back to the home, it can be fatal for me. However, we had the hard task of trying to figure out what was best for our children. And then secondly, what was best for the family. I do believe that, kids should be in the classroom and not in front of a blue light screen, for 6 to 7 hours a day. So it was a very agonizing and arduous decision for us, but that was the one thing that we felt would be better for our kids to be in the classroom as opposed to at home. And we'll talk a little bit more about why that is, but that's our decision today.
Kempers?
We also decided that we would have our child go to school on site. A couple of reasons for that. Virtual schooling did not go well for him last semester. Though he did okay, it was a challenge for him. And then he's an only child. So being in the house all day long, we went back and forth because he's older and I'm working from home. So the option was both. But yeah, we decided to send him to school on site.
Sister Athena?
We decided to keep our kids at home this year. And the reason why we decided to keep the three girls, our oldest girl is going to college, and she is doing an ASAP program, which is a advanced program. And in the summer, she was already online, and some of her classes are already starting online in college. But the two other girls, we decided just for health and safety reasons, and it was a very hard, very, very hard, stressful, lots of prayer. Mom and I, grandparents, her father, we sat down, discussed it, and it was mainly based on how are they going to get the best possible education and just safety. And we decided to keep them at home.
Sister Takesha?
I decided, me being a single parent and I back at work full time, it was best to send Zaria back to school, because during those last 3 months, she went from an honor roll student, her grades dropped, and she's better with face-to-face instruction. And then I looked at it as far as with the whole quarantining thing, how much quarantine did we really do? Because if you say quarantine means you didn't go out the house, period. Gas station, grocery store. So I looked at it as we still had to go to the grocery or to the gas station. So she was still out in public with people, and with her being an only child, she's actually wants to go to school too. And she even said the online was not the best for her. So that's my decision, even though it's a hard decision with me being a cancer survivor. My mom has cancer. So it really, I pray, and God didn't give us the spirit of fear. So I pray every day about it, and I'm just asking God to help me know I made the right decision.
I think some of you guys already touched on this, but are you and your children on the same page about going back to school or staying at home?
I can speak to that. So, we spoke with Savannah, and Savannah had the same concern. She's more of a classroom learner, even though she did well with the e-learning, but the interaction with the teachers, and I think that just made her excel much better. So it was an agreement with her. With Palmer, likewise, he wanted to, this was his first year, and he's excited about going to college, and he wanted that experience. So, I mean, it was like we all agreed on it. Of course, as my wife said, we did look at the schools, both schools, Western, and looked at some of the things that they were going to do for us, the 6 feet and how they're going to lay out the desk, how they're going to communicate with us. I mean, there's a whole list of things that we needed to know. I know it's going to change. However, there was constant information being provided to us from both schools. So we feel that, they're taking the best that they can do based on the current information that's being provided. But we did support them, and until things change, we'll support them. If something happens where we feel, no, it's not the right thing to do, we'll go ahead and change. But at this point, we are in agreement.
And I'll just throw out there that when I posed the question to Savannah, and I made the statement that, well, no, you're not going to go to school. And she was like, Mom, I'm going to school. I just wanted to make that clear.
Adam told me that he would only stay home if I pulled him from school entirely and homeschooled him so he could direct his own curriculum. Otherwise, he saw no point in being homeschooled. And I mean, he kind of has a point. If you're truly homeschooling, you have a lot of control of what you learn and how you learn it. And he's like, oh, we can do that. But if I have to do virtual school, I just as soon go to school. And he's been he never wanted to leave. it's also a transition year for him going into high school. I was very much looking forward. Kokomo High is where I taught for many years. Several of my friends are his instructors. I trust their heart toward children. I know they're going to try to keep him safe. We were looking forward to this time. So yeah, Adam is very much, probably more so than us wanting him to go to school. But if he had shown any fear or hesitation, we might have made a different decision.
Well, for our decision, it's like the Lord gave us He opened the door for us because I teach at a college and everything was online. And so when I go back in the fall in a couple of weeks, I'm still going to be online. And so that gives me the opportunity to actually share with Kiara and Ilana to be online and to be with them in instruction. Both of them need one-on-one. And so if I'm able to be here when I'm not teaching my class, I can be with them. And actually, neither one of them hesitated when we actually, Athena approached to them. Actually, Kiara was kind of glad. She wanted to do virtual learning at home. She's not the social butterfly. She doesn't have to be in every club and interact with everybody all the time. Ilana's got mixed emotions, but she agreed to it. So, like I said, there's no hardships for the girls. They really want to. They did, actually, Kiara did better outside of the school than she did within the school. So that's how we came up to the decision.
I came.
Ms. Takesha?
Oh, okay. I came up, Zaria, she wanted to go back, and then a couple of her cousins are doing online. So now she's like, I want to do online. But she knows as far as her grades, it's better for her to have a teacher face-to-face in a classroom. So that's kind of helping her. But like I told her, you have a say, but I'm still the parent. You're the child. And when it comes, I was very upset. With her online, me and a couple of the teachers, it wasn't very good communication because a lot of times they were only, how Kokomo did it at Central, they were just sending their classes through an email and that was it. And they would just say, we're available 8 to 3 through an email. I think they tried to have a Zoom maybe twice during those 3 months. And so it just didn't work out. And a lot of times their assignments didn't even pop up. And then the teachers, it was a lot of back and forth because the teachers were saying they sent it and they didn't get it. So basically the in school is just better to me. And it's really bothers me for a lot of the kids that I know, a lot of their parents are going to put them in online school just because they don't have to be bothered with waking them up. And I feel a lot of our African-American kids are going to get left behind with this on virtual school.
For those of you who are sending your child back to school, do you think the precautions that are set in place for our students is enough to keep them safe?
I've read through all of the plans for the Western School District. They sound good. They look good on paper. However, my concern is how on earth will they be able to carry out those plans in a timely manner as to not have a negative impact on the student body as well as the family as a whole. I just don't see, even though we have chosen to send our children to school, I just don't see how they're going to carry those things out. That is one of the reservations that Dennis and I have today. And hopefully by the time that school starts, we will feel a little bit more at ease. But I always, we've made the decision that at any time we can pull the plug on them and say, hey, look, it's just not working out for our kids, and the risk is too high and the benefits are too low. So we are keeping that in mind. But like I said, when you have that many children in the school system, simultaneously, there is no way that you can monitor. Things are happening too fast. I think I would have been a little bit more comfortable with the fact that if they had broken down the school system and had them to come on shifts whereby you would not have as many kids in one location at at the same time. And then the other question is, which I'm glad we did not have to look at that part, but transportation. Savannah will be driving, Palmer will be living on campus, but on a school bus, there is no way you can social distance on a school bus. And I don't think that you can ever convince me that that would be an available solution. So like I said, that's just one of the things that we're just on a wait and see type basis. And at any time, if we feel that our children are in danger, and like I said, with me having a comorbidity, we have got to make sure that we stay on top of whatever plan they have, so as to them not bringing it home.
And as a follow-up, right now, I know Rose Home and they're monitoring. They have a monitoring system, but most people have that where they're taking the temperatures and they're asking questions and stuff like that. I mean, that's good and that's fine, and that's a process. However, if, like what Alessia just said, if Savannah wasn't driving and she was going on the bus, I probably would have said no, because even though you have a monitoring system, at school, but you don't have that same system on the school bus, which is worse, because those kids are even though they say they'll put two on a seat and space between, that's not enough. I mean, kids are coming back and forth and stuff like that. So that would have been a decision, hey, no, we wouldn't have done that. However, because she's driving and she's going to be having the protective mask, because everyone is required to have that. And as long as she has that, and I'm not sure Weston is doing the monitoring as much as the Rose Home, as long as there are things in place. Now, it's up to me as a parent to follow up to make sure those things are happening. So I would have to communicate with my kids and say, what are the things that they're doing? So on the first day, especially, and probably out throughout the year, I'll be asking Savannah different things, different questions. I'll be asking Palmer the same thing. So I think it's important for us to follow up to make sure that the institutions are doing what they say they're doing. And especially when a case comes up in a classroom that they have, I want to know exactly how they're going to communicate to me, whether or not they're going to isolate their quarantine that teacher, and what they're going to do with the whole class.
Yes, we have a few concerns, but mainly one, just like the Heralds, keeping track of everything that's going on now. Kokomo has done quite well in at least keeping us abreast of every little bitty thing that's going on, from text messages to phone calls to this and that and the other. But we've got to pay attention to everything that they're doing. Be aware. I've got a few friends, former co-workers of mine that are bus drivers. So also somebody that's in a position that would know. So I've got a way of finding out some other things. I know personally from my work situation that at some of the schools, they've been making some changes as far as having hands-free situations as far as drinking and the like, doing some renovations there. Just have to play it by ear and see how things go, but keep eyes and ears open, and definitely keep track and talk with Adam and see how things are going with him, and just follow up.
I'm really concerned too. I think our teachers are concerned about keeping themselves safe and about keeping the kids safe. And I honestly am worried about the physical environment, but I'm also worried about the spiritual and emotional environment when there's so much tension. You know, just spending lots, I'm in contact with a lot of high school teachers through social media and otherwise, just because that was where I was for so many years. And even some of the younger teachers are very concerned. One young teacher I mentored is very concerned about her own health and the health of her students. And so that really, almost as much as the physical, I mean, we're worried about the physical stuff. Franklin does a lot of caregiving for his mom, and we want him to be healthy and her to be healthy. But also just what kind of environment are the kids going into, and how positive is it for the teachers and for the students if it's constantly get your mask on. I am grateful beyond all gratitude that I am not teaching Adam's 7th period English class this semester. I looked at his teacher and I was like, good luck to you, Mr. Foreman, because I can't imagine going, put your mask on, keep your hands to yourself. No, stay in your seat. No, stay in your seat. That's 9th grade. That's what it's like. So I think that I feel like they're doing the best they can with what they will. I mean, if Rose Holman is anything like IUK, I'd feel more comfortable if he were going to college. Like, I know they're just like, this is how we're going to do. And if you have a fever, you can't come to work. And if you have a fever, you can't come to class. And they're very strict in a way that I think you almost can't be at the K-12 level.
Ms. Takesha.
Like I said, I try not to have the spirit of fear, but last year was Araya's first year at Central, and it was actually her 2nd year in public school because she went to FD Reese from 4 years old to 4th grade. And Central, everybody in the office knew me. I was off on Fridays. I was up there every Friday. I'm going to try to find a way, if I have to call every day from work. And my fear is, I'm afraid I'm going to bring it home to her from Chrysler. I'm more worried about giving it to her from me being in that factory than her catching it from the kids at school. I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but this is my 3rd week back at school. I mean, at work, and they're having cases, not in my area, but in Chrysler almost every day. So I'm more fearful of bringing it home from work to her than her catching it at school. And she wants to ride the bus. And that's another thing bothering me is the social distancing on the bus. 9 times out of 10, I'll probably be dropping her off at school on my way to work.
Okay, the next question is for everyone. Do you think that the school year is starting back too soon with there being so many uncertainties still out there concerning COVID-19?
Start with Sister Athena.
Absolutely. You know me, short, sweet, to the point.
Well, I agree also. I think, and I kind of understand because I work at Ivy Tech, and I understand that, students were not able to, at Ivy Tech, we let them go at spring break and they never came back. And then some of my students never did get their externships, never got anything. But I think they're just trying to bring them back, and so they can get back to what maybe they have lost. But I wish they had waited maybe a couple of weeks later, maybe even after. And y'all probably just think I'm nuts, but after Labor Day, I think they should have started. I think we started too soon, but that's my opinion.
Okay, Kempers.
I think that, as usual, teachers are doing a lot of unpaid work to do something that they've never done before. I think that the most reasonable thing would have been to pull the teachers in now and give them time to design these classes well and on the clock together, and then pull the students in. I think that would be the best educational decision. I don't think that anybody's ready for what this is really going to look like, not because they haven't thought about it, but because I feel like this is something that requires collaboration on a level that nobody's had to think about it. So what's happened is the teachers are gone for the summer, the administrators make the decisions, but what happens in the classroom every day hasn't been really thought through and had the ideas bounce off each other. And they're going to be, what I called it at IUK was, we're building the house while we're standing in it. Like they're building the house while they're standing in it. And so I feel like a little bit more time to prepare, to plan, might have created some more innovative solutions to some of the things. And I think this is just as true for the students online, because nobody who's teaching high school now has ever taught completely online. So suddenly you have an online class. What do you do? How do you design that? What does that look like? And I think that giving them the time to design, I think parents would also make different decisions given time to think it through. What are you doing? What does it really look like in a day? I think that, I don't know, I feel like I haven't had enough time to process it in some ways.
Absolutely. Harold's.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the panelists, because there's a lot of information that we've been provided, and as we see it changes. I mean, we're not immune to the information that's coming from several sources, and how it disagrees from one where it's local, whether it's state or whether it's federal. I just think, from the top on down, they're pressuring the school systems, the superintendents, to go and move forward. And it's coming from the governor to say, hey, you will open schools up on this date. And the superintendents, like she said, the administrators are just pushing it to the teachers who have not had the opportunity to prepare for it. So I'm of the same mindset. If they would have delayed this, I think everyone could have made a more informed decisions. We're making decisions, and we're making them quick and fast. Here again, our prayer is that we're following the guidelines of what God wants us to do, and that He will protect our children. However, like I say, when in the back of my mind, it's saying, wait, hold up, give us more time, yet I'm stepping out on faith that, that things will go well. So yes, I'm concurring with the panel that, I definitely would like a delay, giving us an opportunity to kind of look at things, and giving the teachers, which is more important, the opportunity to be prepared.
Absolutely. If I can throw in really quick, just to throw in a few facts. There is a school in Indianapolis that I just heard half of their football team just got the coronavirus.
Yes.
And all of them are in quarantine now.
Yes.
And they haven't even started school back yet. So if all of that could just happen just out of rehearsal or out of practice, you can only imagine. Yeah. Savannah, sorry.
Okay, this question is kind of hitting on what my parents were talking about. Do you think our government and national politics is responsible for the rush to go back to school?
Yeah, we'll start with...
I'd like to jump in on that one.
I'll be silent.
That is a resounding yes. One of the things I think that we as a nation, for as developed as we are, to be leading the world, even third world countries that have no technology, does not have all of the resources that we as Americans have, to be leading in all of the numbers as far as infection rate, death rate. I just think that we have haphazardly opened back up this economy And that is the only thing that we're thinking about.
Mhm.
And I feel that it has definitely caused us to have so many adverse results. And the same thing is for school. We are treading into an area that we have no knowledge of. We've never done this before. And I am a firm believer that if we fail to plan, we are planning to fail. And so that's where I'm stuck and torn, because of the fact that when I originally spoke and said I'm sending my child back to school, but these are the types of things that I'm worried about. Once we start failing, how do we pick up the pieces and move forward without it hurting everyone involved? That, the kids, when we say that the kids' immune system is better equipped for this virus, that virus has changed so many times. We don't know what it is, and it has no respect of person, age, color, whatever. So that's the one thing that I am definitely, I'm faulting my government for the situation that we are currently in, because we opened back up way too soon and we have no idea how to get out of this quagmire that we're in now. And it seems to be that we're just forging ahead no matter what.
And I would say this: failure in this situation can mean the death of a loved one and family. So it's really something we really shouldn't be gambling on because of the impact that it has, on family. So yes, I'm agreeing with you on that. So.
Mhm.
Kempers, did you guys have something?
I will make this comment, is that we must rely on the experts as much as possible. And when we do rely on the experts, we've got to get buy-in. I think part of it is our own as a society. We are so independent. We feel that we can do anything that we want to do. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people that have decided that it doesn't matter what anybody says, we're going to do it my way. And that's difficult. But one of the things I will piggyback on Sister Harrell, I think sometimes with certain things, how do we stop the snowball? It's going, it might have been a little snowball at the top of the hill, but now it is really massive and really has a lot of momentum and causing havoc everywhere it goes. But how do we stop it?
Sister Athena, Sister Keisha, one of you have a response to this? Keisha.
I agree with the Harrells and the Kempers. The government has basically, like she said, opened the economy. And I feel like instead of us coming together as a nation, it has turned political, and you got Republicans against Democrats. And right now, it is scary. I mean, I lost a cousin to it in New Jersey. And I don't know if everybody knows, my mom had it back in March. She was in hospital for 20 days on a ventilator. The doctors put my mama in the grave. And like I told them, you don't serve a God that I serve. But the government has basically turned to me, it's a circus. And like I said, it's really a mess, and it's scary, and it does change from day to day. And all we can do is lean on the man upstairs. I mean, that's what gets me through every day. I read my Bible every day. I mean, and pray and talk to God. And to me, that seems like the only person that can change it is the man upstairs.
I think that's what's frustrating for everybody is the government has just taken complete control, and we have lost complete faith in who is actually in control. And I always tell people, God is in control. But it's, for me, frustrating, because I get updates every 5 minutes, every day. It's something different. Mom is medical. I get updates as a superintendent, as administrator. It's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. And everybody's like, do you guys really know what you're doing? Nope. I have no idea. But I do know who knows what they're doing. God is in control. And yeah, has it turned political? Has it turned into money making? Doesn't everything? But what we are doing is not being still, not being patient. And that's why they will criticize your decisions and everything like that. But in the end, you just have to be still. Be still.
Absolutely. Savannah?
As Reverend Carter was saying about half the football team in Indy contracting COVID-19, as a question for the parents, are you guys allowing your child to participate in activities in sports, in clubs during the school year?
We'll start with Kempers.
Adam's running cross country, which I'm pretty comfortable with because they're outside running 6 feet apart from each other. They wear masks until anytime they're close, and they're outside. It's a little safer. So that's what he's doing now. I'm more concerned about choir, which people have said is high risk. He is required to have a fine arts credit. We chose choir last year before we knew this was going to happen. While I'm thrilled to have him under the tutelage of the amazing Sharisa Lawson, she's a phenomenal teacher, I'm a little nervous about singing in a small room. So.
Got you. Harold?
As far as Savannah, she does sing in the school choirs, and this year we're just waiting to see what the school is going to do as far as the choir. We haven't been told that yet. However, she's also a dancer, and she dances with Christy Wright School of Dance. That is, when you're dancing, you're oftentimes touching kids, touching the other dancers for your routines. It's very difficult to dance with a mask on. We tried that with her this summer, and everyone was not made to wear a mask. And she was like, I've got to wear a mask. I'm not taking that virus home to my mother. And so I'm just at a loss as to why some are required to do it while some aren't. It needs to be across the board. So with that, she has a recital coming up at the end of August, I think the 1st of September, and we have chosen not to have her do it. And she's been doing dance for 13 years. And this is the one time that, and we've spent money on costumes, but I'd rather have her here than not here. So we've chosen not to have her participate in the recital because we were not comfortable with the guidelines for the recital concerning mask wearing and safety, as well as we're not even sure that we will have her to return back to the studio for the fall dance session because we're just not comfortable. Some things we've chosen to just draw the line and cut our losses and say, hey, we'll wait.
And in addition to that, also Savannah felt uncomfortable with it, and she expressed it with her dance instructor, and I was 100% behind her. If she was able to identify a situation where it would impact the family, and she said, no, I don't want to participate, then I was behind her 100%. Now, unlike Palmer, he's a tennis player, and also he dabbles and plays in golf too, which are sports that are kind of distance in a sense. So he does it right now leisurely. He goes out with his coach from high school, and they play. But I make sure that I tell them, make sure you don't get too close to your coach. Make sure you take all the precautions and stuff. And likewise with him playing golf too. So do I feel 100% comfortable? No. However, I think, certain sports you possibly, opposed to activities that are close, I would not have my kids participate in those types of sports or activities at school.
Ms. Tina? Ms. Athena?
I know that Kiara, she did participate in 4-H, and that was, we were able to do it in a very safe environment. And then when she did do her showing, everybody was in mask and everything like that. As far as, since the girls are doing online school, anything that they do as sports wise, Kiara, she is not a sports girl. Yay. But as far as our littlest one, she does want to do cheerleading, and we sat her down and explained to her all the risks associated with that. And initially she was upset, but then when she understood with cheerleading, you are touching somebody, you're in their face, and she understood. And no, this year she's not. And so she's going to be doing a lot of stuff here. And with the advantage of us, we live out in the country. And so she is going to be tumbling and doing a lot of stuff on her own. But yeah, I like my kids a little too much to have them in somebody else's face and catch something.
But also, as for Kiara, she also does play golf.
Oh yes,
and which is an advice. And so I feel just like Palmer, she can be away from her. They're away when she goes out to the putting. She puts away from people, and the only thing is when she does her lessons, she's going to have to remember she cannot ride in the cart with her coach. She's going to have to walk because she does take lessons. So she'll have to walk separately, and we'll have to talk to him about that when we start her back up.
No, my baby's a little diva. She doesn't like sports, but far as with school, she had to pick a fine arts thing, and we still don't know if she's gonna be in drama or choir. But knowing her, Zaraya don't really like, she ain't a touchy-feely person, and she's kind of like her mom, so she'll probably tell somebody to get out of her face. And I just hope she says it in a nice way. But she's never really been into sports because she says she don't like to get sweaty and all that. So no, I don't have to worry about sports with her.
Okay, next question. If you had a voice in the decision-making process, how would you lead our school system during this pandemic?
We'll start with the heroes.
I'm sorry, repeat that question.
I said, if you had a voice in the decision-making process, how would you lead our school system during this pandemic?
Okay, so if I had a voice, I think the first thing that I would do is, just as we're doing today, get some parents together, get some teachers together, get the administrators together, and talk about it. Let's see what the solution would be if we were faced with making that decision. I think that we have a lot of input. We have a lot of questions that are still not answered. And one of the things that I would definitely say, that we would not open back up the schools until those questions were answered. I need to know point blank what's going to happen if my child contracts this virus. What is going to happen if my child comes in contact with another student or administrator or teacher that has had the virus, had been diagnosed with the virus? I need to know, what are your sanitary plans as far as when my kids leave from school, from the campus, how are you going to sanitize that area? What is the sanitation plan? I need to know, how will lunch be distributed? How will lunch be eaten? I need to know all of these things. Right now, the school plan does not include those things. What if you have a student who has gone to 6 different classes that day, and that student has the virus and is still, in the contagious state? Do you let everybody go who has had that virus, who has come in contact, was in the classroom? Because at that point, you don't know. When you become contagious, or when you've contracted the virus, that doesn't mean that you get it, that you're diagnosed with it immediately. Sometimes it takes a few hours or days for those symptoms to really set in. Those are the things we don't know. And so I would tell the school to, let's wait until you can answer all those questions definitively before you put any child or that child's family at risk.
I'll make this comment too. Here recently, Elwood, Indiana, had opened up their school system, and I think on the first day, Greenfield too. On the first day, they ended up finding out there was a student, and immediately they closed the school down. Now, is that the same policy that Weston has? And I don't know.
No.
I read in some of their literature is that they didn't have all the answers to everything, so they're going to be experimenting, learning as they go. That didn't make me feel too good. So, like Alessia said, yeah, I think the parents should have been more engaged in meetings. I don't recall them ever inviting parents to a meeting. They had a board that they put together, but they never had a opportunity to do this, like a Zoom, where all the parents can meet with those advisors. So I'm a little concerned about that on that end.
Great. Kempers.
If I were in charge, they would use the next couple of weeks to create a robust hybrid or online model. I do not think that, I feel like this is the kind of trying to decide what works for you and your kid. And I feel like it's too much. I do not feel like anybody can really be prepared to be completely in school every day for all students right now. And I feel like it's delusional to think that it's sustainable. I think the situation in Greenwood's going to repeat itself. Hopefully it will repeat itself, and the people who get it will recover quickly, and it'll be young people, and they'll be healthy, and they won't transmit it to anybody. That's my hope. But the reality is, I don't think it's entirely safe. I also don't think that virtual education is in a position to give a realistic education. And so if I were in charge, we would just make a decision and say, okay, we're not going back to school this semester. We're going to create something sustainable that works. Maybe some sort of hybrid model so kids can have contact with their teachers. But that would be my thing, would say, let's just acknowledge that it's not going to work. Call this semester an experiment, and let's see if we can do something with it. And I mean, saying that, I'm thinking, then why am I sending my kid back? Because when I look at all the options, that's the one that makes the most sense for his mental health, which I'm also concerned about.
That's the thing.
I guess the school district that we live in, they had a panel of parents on the planning committee for the reentry committee. And unfortunately, I was involved a little bit with that, and it became frustrating as a parent to see the reentry plan. There is a lot, the reentry plan, I am an administrator of a school. It is a very in-depth plan. And as administrators, we are spent. And I know parents are spent too, teachers are spent. And there are a lot of questions and concerns out there. Yeah, yeah. And because it's a lot. It's a lot. And I guess we are blessed to be in the positions that we are, to have access to a lot of information that most lay people don't have. And so to the heralds, you can go to the superintendent and demand those answers. And anybody could go to the board and say, I want these questions answered before, and they have to answer them. And if they say, I don't have it, then the choice is up to you. But yeah, all the schools have those answers, and they have it in the reentry plan. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Ms. Takesha.
I wish they would have got more input from the parents and maybe push school back maybe till after fall break in October. I just really think the parents, we weren't involved at all. It was just like, here's emails. I mean, Kokomo has been, I've gotten emails every day, phone calls, but I just wish the parents was able to be more involved with decisions and able to ask questions. And I feel like they didn't. They made the decision without parents and just basically gave you, okay, here's a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, your kid is either going to do virtual online or in school face-to-face. We didn't really get a lot of time. And it really is, there is no, to me, I feel like there is no right or wrong way. It's everybody is who, I feel like some people, like you said, you can get mad. I respect anybody's decision because everybody's circumstance is different, and we shouldn't get mad and judge the next person because, oh, they're sending their kid to school, they're staying there online. Well, you don't know each person's situation. Why? I really, if I was married and had a husband and I could stay home, my child probably would be, but I'm in that position as a single mother. It's really hard. And I feel like as far as my mom is retired, but with her health, I don't think it's fair for me to go to work and expect her to stay home and help my daughter with online. So it was really a hard decision. And does it bother me when school starts Wednesday? And yes, it does. But like I said, I just keep asking God to help me know I made the right decision. I don't think there is a right decision with this going on, because I think we're going to be living with this corona for a while. I mean, I'd say within the next 18 months, it's still going to be here. So it's really a hard decision for everybody to make.
Absolutely.
Okay, this will be the last question. What are you going to do if someone in your household gets COVID-19, whether it be from you guys or from your children? Are you all prepared to be quarantined for 2 weeks?
Harold's.
Well, we've often talked about that, and I'm gonna reiterate that I am one of those people who have a comorbidity, so it could very well be fatal for me. So if Dennis still works, in the office, and my children are going to be going to school, I'm going to just try and make sure that my immediate area, my home, is germ free. They have been really good about, absolutely great about when they go out to make sure that they sanitize before they come in. They're spraying, it's Lysol all over the place.
I get to spray.
And my kids are very, very determined for me not to get it. So that's one of the things we have decided, that the basement will be the dungeon that the infected person will have to live in for 14 days and make sure that they're well or maybe I'll just leave the house completely and go somewhere where I can be away from all of the germs and everything. But I think that everybody in my household is doing their part not to infect, bring the virus here, and I really appreciate them for that. Now things are going to get a bit hairy once school begins because things are out of our control as far as where we are and what we're bringing back. But we're just going to have to be vigilant.
And that's the kind of question that we all need to set as a panelist, as those who are watching. What are your plans? What when this happens? Because the school year is going to bring more risks to the household. I mean, do you monitor the temperatures? I mean, do you, when they come in from school, just to make sure? Is it important that the questions of, hey, how are you feeling? Do you feel strange? I mean, are you coughing? Are you feeling tired, or whatever those symptoms are? It has to be a good communication with the parents and the kids, because now it can happen, and like they say, asymptomatic for kids. Well, that has an impact on not only Alessia but myself. That communication needs to happen. So, and your plan of what are you going to do to isolate or quarantine? You may have to define an area, just like if you're doing a drill, whether it's a tornado type drill or whatever. Have a place where you have all the necessary things that you need to quarantine someone. Okay, that's all I have. Good question.
Kim first.
I've been blessed to be in a job that we somewhat self-distance anyway. After I retired from the department, I drive a truck, which is a one-person vehicle. And my contact with the customer is usually minimal. However, I did deal with something similar to this years ago while I was on the fire department, when we went through the chlorine leak at the sanitation. And we had to go through some serious training on being able to disinfect and clean and change our way of doing things. But basically in our home, what is going to happen if I happen to come upon it, Hila's going to have the rest of the house, and I will be quarantined in my bathroom. And we will be able to quarantine myself because what if Adam gets it? Yeah, and if Adam gets it, well, I think he can self-quarantine because he has his computer and he can just sit and be happy to his own content. We just quarantine him in his room, put food outside his door, knock on it, and do like that. But I think we can make it.
Sister Hila, did you have a follow-up from that?
I think that we haven't really thought through a whole quarantine plan. I think the biggest issue, of course, especially when you're dealing with 14-year-old boys in the dirty phase, which is that like the whole, you come in, you have to put your clothes in the laundry immediately. You have to take a shower right after school, not because you're yucky from track practice, but because we want to make sure that if there's anything on you, it's gone and that we can sanitize it. So I think that that's going to be some new patterns that he'll have to learn. Like, you're coming in contaminated, you need to decontaminate the laundry room. But I mean, he has been very much more amenable to those kinds of things than I thought he would be, because stubborn streak, but just like aware that he doesn't he's like, for one thing, he has seen his grandmother, but he's very careful about it because he absolutely doesn't want to get grandma sick. That's one of his things that he says all the time: I don't want to get grandma sick. So I think that he'll be cooperative and we'll be able to just talk about what the end of the day looks like how do you make sure everything's clean? So.
Got you. Got you. Sister Thina.
I think my family, we have set up a great plan. My mom, medical, she is so, I love her thinking. And so we have, when the quarantine first hit, she's like, okay, we're going to do this, 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 and this, and this. And if you guys have a problem with it, the door's right there. So, you know, we call, my mom's name is Nana. And so we are just going to follow what Nana tells us to do. And if you have an issue with it, and if you all know my mom, you do not. Exactly. You listen to what my mom says. But everybody, you know, my mom, she is, you know, I'm not saying my mom's old, but she is elderly. My dad is elderly. I have, I'm high risk. And so my girls understand. They want to keep us all around. And so we all wash our hands. You know, we do. It's just a simple thing, you know, shoes off. And those are the basic things that we have done for years. No, we don't wear our shoes in our house. We wash our hands, you know. And so it's just common hygiene practices. But if one of us gets sick, we know how to shut our house down quickly. And, you know, because my mom has already set a plan in place, because both of us, mom is still medical. I have worked in the hospital. We know how to put that plan into practice from the first minute and keep our lives rolling without being in a panic situation. And my girls know, okay, we have the quarantine, we have the stick and shut-in room, as we call it, already set up, and still keep our lives going. So yeah, we know what to do. We'll be ready.
Good. Sister Takesha.
Yes, we have a quarantine plan down, and we probably have about 50 bottles of sanitizer. I already have Zaria a little kit for school, sanitizer, the wipes, the disinfectant spray. And we have a plan and a quarantine plan if something would happen where we could quarantine, because basically we're quarantined every day now because she's in her room and I'm in the living room. So yeah, we have a plan, but I'm praying to God we don't have to use the quarantine plan.
Got you. Got you. Hey, Savannah, we have a question from Pastor on Facebook. His question is, what's your plan if cases begin to spike in the schools or the county? Would you keep them in school? Would you keep your kids in school or pull them back to the house? I guess that will be a question for those of you who are sending your kids back to school. Start with else.
Here again, we are going to be monitoring and watching the schools and on a daily basis. And the minute I probably hear of a case, then that's probably going to change this whole plan, you know.
Not probably.
Because I will.
It
Because
will.
at that point, you know,
All bets
I
are
know now you don't have control of it.
Mhm.
And so that's it.
Absolutely. Kempers.
Certainly, if cases start spiking, we would have to make a different decision. Like, we're taking a measured risk when I feel like it's not a measured risk anymore, but a moderate to high risk, then we have to make a different decision.
Got you. And Takesha, Sister Takesha.
Yeah, I wouldn't make a different decision, and Zaria would probably get pulled.
Okay. Sister Savannah, would you like to come back with final words? Uh-oh, you're on mute.
Let me unmute myself first. Okay, I just want to say thank you all for coming on. I know that this is a difficult decision that all of you guys are making. And I just wanted to say thank you for the discussion right now. I bet so many parents out there and kids are hearing this and just wanting to be informed themselves on the different perspectives coming from different parents. So I just want to say thank you. And I cannot wait to see everyone on the next Sundays with Savannah.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so, so much. Thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you, Savannah. Yet again, you have done a wonderful job. Shout out to the best pastor in the whole wide world, Pastor Lonnie E. Earl Anderson Jr., the pastor of the Mount Christian Missionary Baptist of Kokomo, Indiana. God bless you, Doc. We thank you so much for allowing us to have another Sunday with Savannah. Again, to our panelists, thank you. This will conclude another Sundays with Savannah. Till next time, God bless.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.